We had nothing, but we had fun. And to people, that is a contradiction.
This is Daring to Tell, the podcast where writers read their true stories and where we talk about writing and life. I am your host, Michelle Rado.
Nothing's gonna make me brave. And nothing's gonna make me brave. Nothing's gonna make me brave except doing what makes me scared.
2 years ago now, I embarked on a fantastic new chapter of my audio career, and that was in producing audiobooks. The very first one I produced was with the author and memoirist Charlotte Maya for her book Sushi Tuesdays. Since then, I have worked with a few different writers to coach them through reading their memoir and then produced it into an audiobook. It has been such an unexpected and fulfilling labor of love for me to work with each of them. And for today's episode, I am talking with the writer of my newest audiobook title, something quite different from the others. But before I introduce it, I want to first share a quote about an approach to creativity. You have to know how to preserve that freshness and innocence a child has when it approaches things. You have to remain a child your whole life long, and yet be a man who draws his energy from the things of the world. That is a quote from Henri Matisse. I have always loved his work, especially his use of color, and thinking about his late works of paper cutouts, the shapes and color absolutely embody that ideal. Simple, evocative, beautiful, pure. I'm looking at his Blue Nude number 4 from 1952, gouache on paper cutout. Cutting paper into shapes is child's play, and his holds a lifetime of emotion alive within the colors of blue and the shapes that he's cut out. That return or embodiment of childhood is what I think of after spending the time that I have producing the audiobook for Meme's famous Crepes. At first glimpse, it's a children's book, simple, small, beautiful illustrations, and special in that it is bilingual, written in English first with corresponding French text on the same page. Its author, Theodore A. Perry, or Tony Perry, as I have come to know him, and he has become a wonderful friend to me, has an illustrious publishing history. He has a distinguished and long academic career. He is professor emeritus at the University of Connecticut. He has published and taught in the areas of comparative literature, in the Hebrew Bible as literature, medieval Sephardic and Spanish literature, religious studies, paramiology, I don't even know what that is, and 16th century French literature. Some of his later academic titles include God's Twilight Zone, Wisdom in the Hebrew Bible, that was from 2008, and The Honeymoon is Over, Jonah's Arguments with God from 2006. But I kind of think he'd probably blush and maybe wave away some of these accomplishments because his most recent work turned a corner back to the places where he started. Places in what he calls, or what is called, upcountry Maine, from a time when French was much more prominent than it is today. Waterville, where he comes from, is also the home of Colby College, Colby, in fact, turns out to be the name of a character he created, Huck Colby, who spins tales of upcountry Maine in two books written more recently, State of Maine, State of Mind from 2019, and also State of Maine, State of Mind 2 from 2021. You can hear a native Mainer's accent and sense of humor in these little volumes, which are sort of a Perry hum companion, if you will. One observation of myself as I continue producing this podcast, I've discovered that what I love in a book is the blending of emotion. Books that demonstrate the author inhabiting several, often contrasting emotions at the same time. Because isn't that just one of the things we struggle with most in our lives? At least I feel that I do. Living inside uncomfortable places of sadness and love. Unabashed joy is a fantastic thing and certainly worth striving for, but it's kind of less interesting to talk about, to dig inside of, and even in trying to dig inside of something like joy might be the best way to kill it. I don't know. This is all just my own musing. But for this book that you'll hear some of today, Tony steps back into his childhood in a way that is at once sophisticated, nostalgic, and entirely charming, funny, so many different emotions. And if there are any common denominators of the writers on this podcast, it's often that their words bring them to tears. To me, that is a sign of something meaningful, something important. When you can get to that in your own writing, well, I think that that's when you know you've struck on something good. Because our conversation turned out to be so far-ranging, I'm doing something a little different stylistically. What we're going to do is dip in and out of our conversation as we move from page to page, listening to some of Meme's famous crepes. This also will end up giving you a little taste of what you'll hear if you decide to get yourself a copy of the book and the audiobook of Meme's famous crepes, as we have little sounders that signal each page turn if you happen to be reading this with a little one in your lap. One more note, from away. This is a term that comes up in our conversation that is its own little signal here in Maine. The way the born and raised Mainers often refer to people like me, possibly a bit derogatory, I'm not entirely sure, but those of us who visit or move here from somewhere else, where is she from? Oh, she is from away. So here we go. We're going to wander between the pages of Meme's famous crepes with Tony Perry.
I grew up in a farm, and there was only one universe. And now I'm not sure there's a universe anymore. I don't know what we have. Are we going to call it a universe?
Can you tell me what you mean by that? Because actually, I'm really curious about that.
I lived I was born in the late 30s in Maine. And that's a whole thing in itself. But everybody knew one another. Mm-hmm. Everybody knew when Sunday was.
Yeah.
Either because you went to church or you didn't.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And there were a lot of certitudes that we don't look at them as certitudes, just the way the world is put together. And, many decades later, to save myself, I came back to Maine, not because it's the greatest place in the world. Of course it is.
I was waiting for that, yes.
Yeah, but everybody talks basically the same language.
Mm.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the language is, but everybody understood. For example, in Maine, we had a lot of Native Americans, just part of a human family. That's all I can say. Yeah. And everybody went to work.
Yeah.
And everybody had enough food, but the food was food.
Mm-hmm.
It was not fake food. It was food.
Where did those eggs come from? The ones that your meme used?
Well, my meme means it's a French word, right? And it means Grammy. We were working class, Yeah. We came down from Quebec a century ago, mm-hmm. moving farther and farther, quicker and quicker south because that's where the work was.
Yeah.
And so everybody farmed.
Yeah.
And the farm was good. I mean, the food was good. It was hardly acquired. with a lot of effort,
Mm-hmm. Oh, I
but
see.
but fun.
Yeah.
The important thing for me is I look back to when I was a kid, and even before my teens, you knew who you were, and it didn't have anything to do with money, although it always has something now. But we're
Right.
not aware. We're not aware of that. We go to the same schools.
Yeah.
We get along, people with
Mm-hmm. Right.
and and the big cruncher was in the mid 40s. That's when everything changed because most of the men were at the army.
You're talking about World War II?
Yes,
Just to make
we're talking
sure
about we got so damn many wars we can't count them anymore,
sadly,
and
sadly.
that's yes, sadly, and that you just can't begin to understand. Well, the men are away, so that's when the women really came into the workforce. And if the women were there,
Yeah.
then who brings up the kids?
Oh,
And where the kids went,
yeah.
basically to the older men who didn't have to serve in the army. So I normally would have been brought up most of the time at home, and I was, but it was a
Right.
male oriented things that normally the other sex would do.
Yeah.
But
So traditionally, instead of having a mother who cares for the family and a father
right,
who goes to work, the times were such that most of the 20s to 40s aged
right,
men were away. So
right,
older men were
right,
doing home jobs
right,
and
right.
women were doing work jobs. And
Yeah,
that's really interesting. I mean, I was curious to know more about what your childhood was like, what Maine was like in
yeah.
those days, and obviously it all plays into this book about Meme's crepes. So, what was I going to say about that? Just that,
Well, Pepe was the man, the grandpa.
but yeah, tell me about
Well,
him.
you don't see him in the book because he was probably in the garden
Okay,
and raising the kids. I was
yeah.
raised basically by grandparents. This book is a story about kids like you and me, Tony Baloney Perry, how I got to be who I am, and especially how to have fun most of the time, if you only remember to do it. For starters, here are questions you must relearn every single day. Number one, what is the very first action you performed in your life? Right, breathing. And what will be the last one? Same answer. Number two, who is the person you remember best and why? My personal answer to this is my meme. And let me tell you why.
Oh, very meaningful for you. Yeah. What we do on this podcast is we listen to the writer read their work. And I will say, as your audio producer, I am so honored and thrilled to have been able to work with you on producing the audiobook for this
Yeah, we're very
because
excited.
it was so much fun.
Yeah.
This book I listened to again and again, and it's one thing to read it, which is beautiful and lovely. There's beautiful illustrations,
Yeah.
but this is it a children's book? I don't know. Is it a philosophy book? Like, I know that you've written a lot of philosophy. And
Yeah, oh,
what
but
is the
but
philosophy in it, and the language and the accent? Like, the way that this is told is such a Mainer voice, and
yeah,
there is no way I find, as someone from away who will always
yeah.
be happy
Oh,
to be here. I'm happy to be from away because at least it means I'm
yeah,
here. I love
yeah,
Maine.
yeah,
And the accent and the voice is so much more with you reading this story. So,
yeah. Well, that's my language, and you talk the language of the people that you talk with.
Yeah.
Let me tell you this, the dynamics of this. One day I came from a grammar school. I went to grammar school. It was a Catholic school. But anyhow, I came in and the language there was French.
Okay. This was one of my big questions. Like, how
Yeah.
much did you hear French when you were young?
Well, as a matter of fact, both of my parents grew up in, one step away from, French speakers. But my father always spoke English at home,
Oh, okay.
except when he was singing Silent Night and what do we say, the Midnight Mass, and that filled the whole world with everything and so forth. But I came up and I said something in French to my father. I was maybe 4 or 5 years old, and he said, "This is an English-speaking family. I don't want to hear any French here."
Yeah.
And I said, "But Dad, he said, no, we're living in a French country now. I mean, an English country now, and we've got to speak English." So what I did, I went to high school and took 4 years of French.
Okay, but you knew French from your childhood too.
Yeah, I
But you
did.
learned it more formally.
Oh well, yeah, and from people who spoke real French. In other words, it's the same French,
Yes. Right.
And I think as I look at it now, my father and I were the best father and son and so forth. But there was a little something wrong about him enforcing that. So I made sure that I was the A+ in all of my French. And not only that, I came to Bowdoin College and majored in French. And this is just the start of a thing, because I taught French for 40 years, right? And I went and what they did they offered money to the state of Maine. If you studied, they had it for French and they had it for Latin. Well, it made a lot of sense for Latin because the Catholics, it was still that thing, and so they did that.
The Mass was still in Latin at that point.
That's right.
Yeah.
It comes out, for example, that when I go to midnight Mass with my father, because I still went to the midnight Mass, we would I sing it in English and then sing it in French. And if you like, I mean, if we had the time. Of course.
Oh.
So as it happened, because I'm the maven, that's a Jewish term. I'm the expert here.
Yeah.
And so I took the test.
Yeah.
And about a month later, I get a call from professor here at Bowdoin College.
Yeah.
He says, "Mr. Perry, when did you learn your French?" Well, I said, I learned my French, unless I come from a French family. I didn't get into that with him. He said, "Well, you learned it with the people up there, but the Latin, when did you learn the Latin?" Well, in French schools, and I want to finish what I was saying, Latin was the language of the church.
Right.
And even if you didn't understand the language of the church, you understood how to sing "O Holy Night" in French.
Yeah.
And that type of thing. And so he said, "Well, you're not going to Colby College," which Colby College was just a mile in Waterville where I lived.
Right.
And Bowdoin was 50 miles away.
Right.
I said, no, sir, I did not. How do I think I got here today? I didn't come in a car. We didn't have a car. I hitchhiked 50 miles to come to talk to you, sir. And he says, "Well, you're not going to Colby College." He said, "Well, I just told you, we don't have any money. I'm going to sell men's clothing at Levine's in Waterville." He said, "Well, no." He said, "You can't do that." He said, "What do you need?" I said, "We need everything."
So you got the scholarship to go.
Room, board, tuition, spending money.
Wow.
You cannot believe.
Wow.
Ce livre est une histoire sur des enfants comme vous et moi, Tony, Ballon et Perry. Comment je suis devenu qui je suis, et surtout, comment s'amuser la plupart du temps, si seulement on se souvient de le faire.
Pour commencer, voici quelques questions que vous devez réapprendre chaque jour. 1. Quelle est la toute première action que vous avez réalisée dans votre vie? C'est ça, la respiration. Et quelle sera la dernière? Même réponse. 2. Quelle est la personne dont vous vous souvenez le mieux et pourquoi? Ma réponse personnelle à celle-ci est ma mémère. Et laissez-moi vous dire pourquoi.
Everything was in season. Nothing was frozen, And it was wonderful to go. And the old timers, I grew up Catholic, but the music that I really loved, the Protestants had it.
Okay.
And I can say, sweet is the promises, kind is the word, da, da, da. And that's about somebody who died because they say, gone beneath the flowers. Yes, he was dead. Follow Jesus Christ everywhere and every.
Wow.
But it was done with a simplicity.
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you, it brings tears to my eyes. The people were so good. The people were so good and so loving, and as they used to say it, we didn't have much or we didn't have anything, but we had fun.
And you had everything, so here, a couple of things are sticking out to me that I really want to kind of zoom in on. One is simplicity.
Yeah, that's,
because
you said most of it right there, simplicity. You didn't have, but what you had, and that's what you had, and you were happy with what you had. What is the best meal of your entire day? Most kids would agree that it's breakfast. And what's your favorite breakfast food? Crepe, of course. French pancakes to you. And who is the very best crepe maker in the entire world? Why, your own very...
Oh, Tony. I wish I could hug you right now.
Well, I wish I could too. I could use one. Why, your very own Meme, naturally. And what's the only recipe for the most bodacious of all crepe? Listen up.
So what you teared up there. This was really emotional for you.
It is.
Tell me about Meme. Like what?
We just knew how to be with one another. We just did. And we made a lot of fun about other, but it was always fun, and it was you could even do it 3 or 4 times, and it was still fun. Oh, Aunt Teresa, oh Jesus, what did she hear? What did she say on the phone yesterday that I want to? Woohoo!
There's love and humor, is what I hear you saying. That we can poke fun at each other and not do it in a mean way, and do it in a way that doesn't get misconstrued or overthought or any of those things.
It was all fun, but our type of fun, which sounds so simple, but they're also they're all together and they're all doing kind of crazy things, and they're being adults.
Yeah, I think when there's so much similarity in the lifestyle and in the community and the society that you're living in, there's a common denominator, and there's the simplicity of we grow the food, we eat the food that's in season, we go to school, we go to church, and it's all fairly straightforward. Yet at the same time, and what is so beautiful about this book, I will say, Meme's famous crepe. It has so much within the simplicity. There's a real richness that you remember to a time that feels like it has gone by. But I think that there's a lot of simplicity and, I don't know, a lot of those common denominators still in who we are and what we do and what a lot of people, I think, really yearn for.
We would never say
work in our lives. Somehow.
I'm listening very carefully with the you're picking up the vibes, right? And it's wonderful to hear you, an awareness. I love the language then because it was always simple, always clear.
Yeah.
and humorous. Let's start the story where they all should start, in Grandma Meme's kitchen. The action starts about 6:30 a.m. in the chicken coop, where I have been dispatched to gather up enough fresh eggs for breakfast. My younger sister, Andrea, who sleeps at least until 8 o'clock, ain't all that much help. Nor is my brother Steve, who isn't even born yet. Today's a special occasion. One of the grand boys and his sweetheart bride are coming over for some crepes, just like Meme used to make them. My job, other than getting the eggs, is to come up with the exact recipe. And here it is, in 10 easy steps.
You're talking about all the characters in
Yeah,
the book.
yeah.
And you're talking. I think what's fun about this is you talk across generations about time. You're talking about your grandson, and you're talking about your baby brother who isn't born yet. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
so you're talking about you're like in all generations at the same time. We've got
Yeah.
that like classic cast iron skillet that has been in the family for generations.
Yeah. But then I want to talk about humor, because this is part
Okay.
of the laughing thing. Well, because you said we didn't have anything, but we had fun. What do you mean we had fun? We had fun just making jokes, and so it didn't cost anything. But there was always something. Or Uncle Gene would be on the phone, and then we talk about him and talk the most outrageous things, But they were fun and they were funny. Step 1. Fetch the eggs. You first go fetch the eggs, as I've already said. Sounds easy and lots of fun, no? Well, Pepe's hens are not laying this year, so we'll have to go up Skowhegan way to fetch a few from my dear cousin Reggie. Thanks, Reggie. I'm going to skip something because it gets, it's.
No editing here. This is daring to tell. We don't want to miss this page.
Well, okay. You see, for some of your people, you're going to want to. Okay, got the eggs, real cockers, nice and warm. There may even be a double yoker or two. Last week, I even got a triple yoker. But those red hens, their eggs, that is, just ain't getting laid like they used to.
Tee hee hee hee.
It has to be fun, not only for the quality of but the fact that there's some humor in it, and he knows it.
So you learned your Latin and your French well enough to really impress them.
To really impress them, but it was better than that, because I wanted to do a advanced degree, and there was nothing in town here for the advanced degree.
Oh.
So I applied to Yale University, which was the biggest program in the world, really, even better than Paris.
Wow.
And I got it. So they paid the whole thing. So why do I love French? Because I'm filthy rich. I'm joking. No. But in those days, really, this type of thing was taken very, very seriously. Now, I went down to Yale.
Mm-hmm.
At Yale, got a PhD, listen to this, in Romance languages.
Wow.
Now,
that's a lot of languages.
Yes. Well, it's all the languages that came down from the Latins
right.
and so forth. They didn't understand the point that when I said romance, I wasn't talking about the languages.
Oh, are you talking about your family?
Well, I'm talking about really, I could afford neckties now, and I could afford dating and so forth. Yes.
When
and so New Haven, Connecticut, I didn't like I didn't like much.
Man about town.
There you go, man about town. Step 2, gather the implements. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, Mene has already laid out the ingredients. along with a large glass bowl and the old faithful cast iron skillet. Old faithful means it has served at least 2 to 3 generations of loving grandchildren. And then we go over to the next one now, the flour. Step 3. No more raunchy, but everybody's having fun here. Step 3, the flour. Putting the flour into the glass bowl is the opening procedure. Despite its simplicity, some folks from away have come up with a number of questions. Here are a few, along with my personal remarks. First, about the flour. How much and what kind? How much flour? My reply, as much as you need for the Lord's sake, and then double or triple the amount. B, what kind of flour? Are you kidding me? Flour!
And it is my personal request if you read this one in French too, because that I think is one of my favorite moments.
Étape 3, la farine. On commence par verser la farine dans le saladier. Cela paraît simple, mais bien des gens m'ont posé plein de questions à ce sujet. Voici quelques-unes d'entre elles et mes conseils. Comment choisir sa farine? Et combien de farine? Pour la quantité, ma réponse, autant qu'il en faut pour l'amour de Dieu. Et ensuite, doubler ou tripler la quantité. Quel type de farine? Vous vous moquez de moi? De la farine!
I loved that part. I would walk around our house going, de la farine!
Yeah,
Flour.
Flour. Well, I it was a little raunchier when I say, all you want for Christ's sakes, but then I got to be careful with that.
We're adults on this podcast. People can say whatever they want to say. So.
Oh really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh. You want crack in the eggs? Well, no, that's number 5.
You know what?
No.
I think if people want crack in the eggs, that is one of the highlights of this beautiful little story. Yeah, crack in the eggs. That's where it's all at.
Well, it gets me. Well, okay, crack in the eggs. Ta-dam! Rap-a-ta-tam-pa-pam! The grand moment has finally arrived for the younger crowd. Who gets to crack the eggs? And how many? Now, this is not a real problem, since any meme with years upon years of experience can nicely handle the pecking order. But for anyone else, well, good luck to you. So everything that I write is only one thing, and that is philosophy.
Yeah.
I study philosophy. That's what I do.
Yeah.
But no, philosophy, what the hell's that? Nobody knows what philosophy is. The people who run the government, they don't have a clue. And so it started, the religion literature is part of it. But how do you get people to read your stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you just put a different face on it.
Right.
So instead I go from very sober Immanuel Kant and Hegel and so forth.
Yeah.
I go to humor.
Right.
I just change the face of the thing, and I can make all the arguments or whatever simply by changing the mode.
So what's most meaningful to you about this book? I don't know if that's even a question I can ask.
It's a total philosophy thing. If I write a 4th book, it's going to be the philosophy of humor. But by doing that, I will have lost half of my...
I was going to say, finish that sentence. By doing that, you would have lost half of your...
half of my, I don't know, I would have lost half of the fun.
Yeah, I mean, when I ask the question, I go, it's like popping a hole in a balloon, Michelle. What are you asking?
No. I'm going to hold this because you keep talking about human. That's what I want to talk about.
Here's another
Anyhow.
thing. Can I tell you what I notice? I want to make sure I'm capturing as much of your enthusiasm about writing and life, because as I said, those are the kind of things that I try and have conversations with writers about on this show. And so there's writing and life, and you've done both. And I feel like we've gotten a sense of this arc of a main beginning, going around the whole world with languages and philosophy, and then a coming home to Maine, and all these things, all these flavors are embedded in sort of these simple little stories that go back to your very beginnings, and there's
Simple.
something
Well,
incredibly cathartic about that. I don't mean to be
no,
tie it up in a
no.
bow, but
No. What I'd like to do is we're going to get ourselves a few bottles some evening, and we're going to get around, and then
all right.
then we're going to talk that way.
Yeah.
But in just one little sentence, we had nothing. We were talking about running into some old friends or
Yeah.
whatever we used to do, get together and so forth.
Yeah.
And usually poor people and so forth. Said we had nothing, but we had fun. And to people, that is a contradiction. It's the awareness that they used to say all the ancients and the Greeks and the Romans and the Jews and anybody and so forth. How did they say it? If you want wisdom, go to the common people.
Yeah. So,
okay.
My question that I ask everyone on this podcast with whatever they read is I find, this is me talking, that there is just inherent braveness, courage in writing, period. I think writing is a brave thing to do. And my question is, what was most daring? Was there something daring in writing this book,
You mean
Meme's Famous Crepes?
When? At what period? You mean now is that I'm doing it, or
when you were writing it?
Was there something?
Was there something daring about it? Maybe it wasn't daring at all for you. Maybe you just, I think philosophically, was there something that was very precious or tender that was?
There's a great 15th century French poet, and in those days there are a lot of sonnets, and a sonnet is 14, so you have to compress it. And he got to the end, and he was a humorist as well as a love poet, as they all were in those days. And to summarize it, he says, you know the French. Je ris en pleurs. I laugh as I'm crying.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
And so the laughing is important, and the other part is important too. And if you can put them both in the same universe and derive understanding and pleasure,
yeah,
sometimes that's all you're getting. You're not getting anything else. Well, let's squeeze it out as much as you can,
Yeah.
and then refer it to some of the people that for better. Yeah.
That's beautiful. I think that's a beautiful way to end.
Je ris en pleurs. Rire means in French, it means to laugh, right?
Yes.
Je ris en pleurs.
I laugh. Say it again in English then. It's I laugh and I cry.
It could be, there are a lot of ways to translate it too. It's not simple. Translation is never simple.
Right.
Thank God, because you always want to make it better.
Exactly.
Je ris en pleurs. I laugh while I'm crying.
While I'm crying. Yes. I love that so much, because this embodies that. We had moments of laughing and crying while crying in this book. And I feel like in so much of the books and stories and literature that I read, that's the value, is not necessarily I laugh while I cry. I think that's what your story is encompassing, but that it is able to encompass multiple emotions simultaneously. And that is part of, I think, what makes humanity so precious and special and important.
That's a nice. Well, I want to think about that one. Damn you! I don't want to waste my time thinking about it.
Oh, yes.
I'm joking.
Thinking, overthinking, that's me.
Oh no, you don't overthink.
Oh, Tony, I can't thank you enough. I hope you've enjoyed this conversation.
Oh, I love that. The thing is, though, that I want to strap you thing and make you laugh till you cry.
Well, let's get that bottle. We'll talk over all the philosophical things of the universe, and I'm always game for a big philosophical discussion.
Well, yeah, off to the side.
Off to the side, yeah.
Off to the side. We could be high muckies. Yeah, okay. That's it?
I think that's it. Do you have anything else you'd like to say?
Not until 5 minutes after you're out of it. Then I'll go running after you and say, yes, but,
That's the way it always goes. I'm the same way.
But there's something personal about this, though, the dedication. So it says, for Sydney and for our 21 grandchildren, may you enjoy many delicious crepes. Who is Sydney?
Sydney is your son?
No.
Oh, I don't know.
My ex-wife.
Oh, okay.
And that's why. I mean, you use it to your parent, and this is a woman that I had my 6 kids with.
Yes.
And never dedicated a book to her. So I said, that type of thing has to be acknowledged. I had to, in my life, the fact that it went for 6 kids without having somewhere.
Yeah.
And then there's something else, but I don't know what it is. Anyhow.
Well, that's beautiful too. Thank you for sharing that because, I think it's interesting we can end with the dedication because
all that we do in writing is dedication.
Wow. There it is. All that we do in writing is dedication. That opened up a whole new idea for me in that small little summation. He is leaving me to think about something too for a while. One of the things I love best about this book and about Tony reading this book, certainly in English, but almost more so in French, is just how much meaning and comprehension of the subject comes across in the melody and the cadences of the phrases. I only understand the tiniest bit of French after taking years of it in high school and even in college, but it almost doesn't matter when you can just let the flow of the words wash over you. Each language is its own distinct flavor. And that makes me think about what Tony said at the very beginning about how they all spoke the same language and how even when speaking different languages, we can all still understand each other. Well, this little book is about so much more than making crepes, but it is also about making crepes, which of course you can do from the 10 easy steps that he outlines in the book. Just to give you a little more teaser of the other steps, we also have step 4, put the flour in the bowl. That one takes 2 pages, by the way. After that is cracking the eggs, which we did hear him do. And after that, add the milk. Then mix in the batter, cooking, and finally condiments. Of course, there is a link in the show notes for both the book and the audiobook, which contains a recipe in the back as well. I have got 3 easy steps for you as well, since you made it this far. Step 1, follow this podcast. Just click the plus so that Daring to Tell will automatically come into your podcast app when I release it on the first Tuesday of each month. Step 2, tell a friend about the podcast. Tell a fellow writer, reader, book group member, people in your writing class, I don't know. I love the idea that it can get shared one person at a time. I think that's the best way for anything to organically grow, and I hope that you will help me in that endeavor. Step 3, sign up for my newsletter. I promise I will not inundate you with mail. I myself feel a little bit overwhelmed with all the newsletters I have signed up for. My newsletter is monthly. I have no agenda other than to just share my musings on the topics that I explore on this podcast. So you can sign up for it at my website, michellerado.com. Et voila. That is it for this month. I hope this episode may inspire you into your kitchen for some delicious crepes. I don't think that sounded very French, but I'm not very good with a French accent. My thanks again to Tony Perry for our conversation, to my most wonderful musician husband, Phil Rado, who writes and performs all the music on this podcast. It is absolutely uncanny to me to note how many songs he's written actually coincide with some of the things that we discuss in these episodes. Today is one of those times, and so I will leave you with this song called Cry Like a Baby. Most of all, my thanks to you for making it all the way to the end of another episode and for daring to listen. I will catch you next month.
Cry like a baby, cry like a child. The years tumble by like in a nursery rhyme. It's all just a sweet lullaby, and it's okay to cry. Watch a baby's eyes, watch a baby's eyes, hopeful and clear, careful and wise. Our very first cry tells the whole world we've arrived. And who will we love, and what will we see? Hug every day, 'cause there are no guarantees. It's okay to cry, cry like a baby sometimes. I keep my head above water, I hold my breath if I must. I keep my head above water, and I hope it's enough, should be enough. Cry like a baby and keep being born. Give love and get love, muscles to more. Watch a baby's eyes, watch a baby's eyes and cry. I keep my head above water, I hold my breath if I must. I keep my head above water, that should be enough, I hope it's enough. Cry like a baby, cry like a child. We spend so much time just trying to hide. At the end of the day, I'm just another old man who cries. I'm just an old man who cries like a baby sometimes.